Hey guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to do a video that's kind of linked to the other video I just did talking about beans and rice and zombies. There were two examples in that video in the comments section below, because I do read your comments, of a positive attitude and a negative attitude. I get all kinds in my comment section. I love the comment section. We go through it. It's fun. I always encourage you to leave your comments below. Some of them are very, very entertaining, but definitely want to talk about this negative attitude, because some people have this defeatist attitude because they see what lies before them and they're like, this is just an insurmountable task. I can't do this. I can't build a homestead. I can't have animals. I can't have a garden. They look at this as just being too difficult because they're scared of work. They have been listen, I have often quoted this on my channel. Good times produce weak men. Weak men produce hard times. Hard times produce strong men. Strong men produce good times. And then the good times produce weak men. It's just this cycle that continues over and over and over again. And the reality is we are living in a time full of weak, neutered men. It's true. We don't know how to do anything. We're scared of doing anything that, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm guilty. I'm like looking at something like, oh my gosh, do I really want to go through all that? Do I really want to, oh man, that's a lot of work to do. I'm guilty of this too. But there's just times where you have to pull up your bootstraps and go ahead and get something done. Because other people depend on you to, pull ahead. And that's the days we're getting to right now. Right now, right there. So listen, I want to read you this comment and then we'll talk about this. Here's the negative comment that I saw in the last video. So Tall Cedars writes, eventually they will come for our sheep, cattle, chickens, our gardens and properties. So why leave the city and start a homestead? Ugh. First off, yes, there is a chance that at some point they're going to come for you out in rural America and take away your chickens and your sheep and your goats. Listen, I'm a student of history. I have seen the documentaries. I have read the history books where it talks about people who lived in these rural parts. Eventually, armies come through and they just take whatever they want and they rape and they pillage and horrible things happen. And yes, that's possible. Anything is possible. There's nothing new under the sun. That is completely possible. However, as I'm looking at this as a strategist, where they're going to concentrate the most control is going to be in densely populated areas. This is why I say get out of the cities. Get out of densely populated areas. Go somewhere where there's a guy on YouTube who says this often. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. The government, believe it or not, only has limited amounts of assets. They only have a limited amount of assets that they can throw at a problem. And if controlling the population is a problem where they're going to throw the most assets, where they're going to get the most amount of juice that's worth the squeeze, is going to be in densely populated areas, in cities, in largely populated municipalities and suburbs. They don't care about places where there's like 4 or 5 people per square mile. They don't care about those places. There's not enough problems out there for them to worry about sending assets out to those places to control them. Unless, which is possible, I mean, in the day we're living in today, unless they generate an army of clones, and we live in like a Star Wars Clone War era all of a sudden. Robot dogs, you've seen those little robot dogs, they have, whatever that DARPA is creating. And unless some of those come to fruition overnight, they're not going, those things are off the map. So yes, right now, I think it's great. I think it's worth it to get chickens, to get a garden, to get livestock, and to, not start some major commercial livestock operation. Just have, a strategy that I have seen work well by people in years past is this. They'll buy 2 cows. They'll go to an auction and they'll buy 2 cows, 2 young calves. Okay. And they will basically raise them up. And once they're about 18 months old, they'll sell one and then butcher the other. The one they butcher goes into the freezer. The one they sell, they use that money to go into the next auction and buy 2 more calves. And it's a cycle. They just keep doing that. And every year that puts meat in their freezer. And the second one gives them enough, and they usually buy 2 bummers. Like bummer meaning that they don't nurse well, and they nurse them for a limited amount of time. They milk, because they didn't take to their moms or whatever. And a lot of times those go to the sale auctions, or not. Maybe you'll get ones that are already weaned. 2 young ones that a farmer's just trying to unload. You buy them, you raise them up, and then boom, you've got meat for your freezer, and you've got another one to sell that you can buy 2 more with at the next auction. Does that make sense? There are ways to do this. I have seen lots of people do that exact method. I've even thought about doing it here. There's lots of people with beef cattle here. I don't need to. I can go out and find grass-fed beef in a lot of different places. Anyway, all that to say, it's a difference between attitude. People who are like, oh, that's not worth it. The government's going to come take it away anyway. I might as well just store beans and rice and hope the zombies don't come and get me. Ugh. All right, there's the negative attitude. Now let's go to the positive attitude. Let's read this comment. Mike Collins says, hey, Zach, just moved from New York, thank goodness, to South Carolina last year. Got 2 acres surrounded by 450 acres of state forest land. Sounds amazing. Got a big garden set up and just built a coop for egg-laying chickens, but besides meat chickens, I don't think I have room for any other livestock. Do you have any suggestions? Now, just this right there is an example of a positive attitude. He did what needed to be done. He moved out of New York, thank goodness, and moved to South Carolina, someplace probably more remote where he got some acreage, and he got 2 acres surrounded by 450 acres. That sounds fantastic. Got a big garden set up because I've already talked about on this channel what you can do with just 1 acre. You can have a really big garden for 1 acre. And he has a coop, and he's looking for other livestock suggestions. And my response was maybe 1 or 2 milk goats. Or maybe make contact with somebody in the area who has a milk cow and who can sell you raw milk every week like we have. We have a relationship with a neighbor who has a number of milk cows, and she sells us raw milk every week, and I make butter and cheese with that milk. And there's 8 grams of protein in 1 cup of milk. So that's a great way to get protein in your diet outside of beans and rice. Fantastic. That's a positive attitude, Mike. I'm very thankful you left that comment on my channel. Congratulations. It sounds like you're off on a great start. So do you see the difference there? One's like, oh, Miles will not do anything. Government's going to take it away anyway. And then the other one's like, I'm out of here. I got some gardens. I got some chickens. What else can I do? What else can I do? Do you have any suggestions? He's going to people who may have some ideas that, that he can kick around and come up with a solution to provide things for his family. Do you see the attitude difference right there? Negative versus positive. Your number one item in your tool belt that you're going to utilize the most in life, no matter where you are, is going to be a positive attitude. If you have the positive attitude, people ask me, hey, how can me and my wife get started on this? Well, number one, the thing I ask is, are you and your wife on board? Do you both want a homestead? Because if you both have a positive attitude and you both want this, you both want to be on a homestead, nothing can stop you. You'll do great. It's just a matter of getting everything where it needs to be. Fantastic. I know that we're living in a world where things can get you down. I know we're living in a world that's complete insanity right now, and nothing seems to make sense. Up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left, right is wrong, wrong is right. It's insane. But you have to maintain a positive attitude and say, okay, what can I get done today? I know there's a lot to do. I know it seems like the world's against you. It is. But you can defeat the world. You can win in this fight. Or at least make a really good showing. Anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about all this stuff, and we'll talk more about it maybe in the future. All right, guys. Hey, listen, check out our merchandise, teespring.com. Stupid shit hurt. Guys, a lot of the wrong in this world would be right if we had a lot more hurt in this world, because there's a lot of stupid running around. If you haven't noticed, you can wear the shirt. I get a lot of feedback from this shirt. It's our best seller. Teespring.com. Links in the description below. And a lot of other great shirts you can buy from the Homestead too, all in the description below. Check those out. We'll leave it at that. See you next time in the Homestead. Bye! Alexander the Great. Did you know when he died, his body was placed in a coffin made of solid gold? Decades later, Ptolemy X and Cleopatra III stole the coffin and gold artifacts just so they could pay their war debts. Germany, at the time of World War II, stole all of the gold they could get their hands on, and much of it still today has not yet been accounted for. You see, all throughout history, when times get tough, people, either good or bad, seek real wealth. they turn to gold and silver. The central banks and Wall Street cheerleaders would have you believe that gold and silver are just shiny rocks with no real value. But did you know that central banks around the world have for the last year been buying record amounts of gold and silver for stockpiling? Stockpiling for what? What do they know that they're not telling us? Genesis Gold Group is a proud supporter of an American homestead. They help people get out of locked-in 401ks and IRAs into something that's real, physical gold and silver. If you're going to be locked into something, it might be a good idea to talk to Genesis Gold Group about being locked into something physically vaulted instead of just a piece of paper that at the end of the day is just that, a piece of paper. It's a clear surety that our economy is headed for turbulent waters. The nation is currently over $31 trillion in debt, and Congress keeps spending money and the Fed keeps printing it. That does not bode well for anyone keeping and saving money in savings accounts or paper-denominated assets. Call Genesis Gold Group today, this instant, or visit them online at genesisgoldgroup.com. They can put together a strategy that's right for you. And be sure to say that you heard about them from an American homestead.
Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. Oh wait.